We get so caught up in this idea of ourselves that we forget that we're the one that holds on to it, and we're the ones that create it in a sense. In my opinion, our experience isn't necessarily tailored to who we are, but how we perceive ourselves and how we think we are. You could be a great person through and through, and you could think you're the worst person in the world, and your experience will be tailored to that realization, that idea that you're not enough, and you're going to constantly see lack in the world. And one thing I was thinking recently was, as long as we have more to gain, you're always going to feel like you lack. And that's just another way to say that the experience is never over and the journey's never over. He who thinks the journey is the one that's truly lost. In a lot of ways, I feel like that gets more true and true every day. The key to my self-improvement, the key to self-improvement in general, in my opinion, is just being present. Being present enough to realize what you need to let go of and what's there, you know. And I think a lot of people get into, self-help to sort of confront the negative aspects of themselves or to ignore them. But in confronting them, I realized that you don't necessarily have to sit there and think about what's wrong here, what's wrong there. You just have to be present enough to realize what parts of you aren't working for your situation, what parts of you aren't working for you. And then you attack them from there. I feel like too much effort is spent, trying to change our foundation when we just have to change our perspective. It's not so much an effort to change, but an effort to renovate, an effort to grow in many ways. And letting go of who we were. Well, I realize that's a very hard thing because we all have an identity. I don't necessarily mean your whole identity. Let go of yourself in the sense of allow yourself to be. Allow yourself to be you. Let go of the restrictions you place on yourself in regards to your expression, in regards to who you are, of course, morally, but let go of how you expect from yourself. Expectations in a lot of ways ruin our life. They hold us to an unrealistic standard that oftentimes is not created by us. You have to make sure when you're setting expectations, when you're setting goals, when you're allocating your responsibility, that you're the one that allocates it to yourself. And when you do so, make sure you're on top of it. I feel like that's part of making life intimate. That's part of making life your own, is taking responsibility for you and everything around you. Your experience is tailored to you. Your experience is tailored by you. You have to realize that you're the one that's creating this. You're the one that's creating this space for yourself. And then sometimes you have to create what you see. It's not always going to be out there. It's not always going to be right there in front of you. It's important to sometimes realize that not everything is going to look the way you expect it or you want it in a certain scenario. And sometimes you're going to get signs. Sometimes you're going to get, maybe your intuition will tell you that you're doing the right thing. But it may not look like it. It may look like you're not really focused. It may look like this, that, or the other. But without referencing time, because I don't like to, but sometimes you just need to allow yourself to unfold. And it's not necessarily a timely thing. It's going to take as long as it takes. But you have to kind of let yourself blossom into what you are. Blossom into what you could be. And a lot of times it just takes not necessarily abandoning the past, but realizing it is the past. Realizing that it's no longer here. And the person you were there doesn't have to be here either. But you are here, but you aren't at the same time. You don't have to be stuck in the same sort of cycles that you put yourself in. And I was realizing this a lot yesterday in some of my conversations, but sometimes you can't force people to see the world the way that you see it. And it's important to have enough validation in your own perspective to understand that it's not for everyone to understand. It's for you to understand. It's for you to traverse your life through. It's about speaking life into your own life. Giving yourself the crutches, giving yourself the props to exist. To affirm yourself as a person, as a something here in the world. Because when you walk through life acting as if you aren't anything, acting as if you have no contribution other than yourself, then nothing's going to contribute to you. It's realizing that, you are, in a sense, everything that allows you to be whatever you want. everything is sort of a reflection of everything. You know, the way people interact, the way nature is, the way everything's expanding and also condensed at the same time. And I know it sounds like I'm going off on a tangent, but in my understanding, you know, if you allow everything to contribute to itself and you know, sort of allow meaning to just exist without necessary purpose, then life becomes something extremely worthwhile. And I'm trying to articulate that a little bit better. In finding the beauty of things just being the way they are, in terms of things outside of you. You know, like the world, people, this, that, and the other. And allowing yourself to change and develop allows the world to be so much more of a place that feels like you're coming into. Feels like you're really standing your ground inside of. And sometimes you do need to look down and realize that you are standing on something. You know, you do have an impact here and you take up space. And in taking up space, you have to realize how to use it. Space isn't just supposed to be there. Space is supposed to be used. It's supposed to be occupied. And you have to realize what's occupying the space in your head. What's occupying the space in your heart. What's occupying, you know, the space that sort of holds you back. And then you let that go. You allow that space to be filled with your own positivity, your own realization of worth. That you are worth something, that you can't have any doubt. I think that the key to real success is one, holding yourself accountable, holding the image of what you want and you desire fervently in your heart and mind, and then giving yourself grace. If you use those three properly, if you allow yourself to just be, then, you know, you won't really ask for much more. Life's going to provide whatever it does, and things come in cycles and emotions come in seasons. And you have to realize when you're repeating a season, when you're repeating a certain cycle, and what you haven't done differently and what you haven't addressed that's allowing that cycle to repeat. Because I feel like a lot of times we address pieces and parts of issue, maybe because we can't handle it all at a certain time. Maybe we're not mature or secure enough to attack it all at the same time. Regardless, the importance is really just placed on addressing it in general. However long your journey takes, however long this, that, and the other takes, it's about being patient. You know, it's also about being present. Being there with yourself enough to realize that, you know, this isn't going to happen overnight. It's going to be a learned thing. You know, it takes time to break the habit of being yourself. And I said that in another video. Someone asked what that really means. But breaking the habit of being yourself, in my opinion, is just realizing that parts of you don't always come from you. And realizing that you can change. Realizing that who you are is governed by how you view yourself and how you allow yourself to be. If you think you are a certain way, you're going to act a certain way. And by that standard, you're going to become something new. It's all about constantly becoming, constantly holding something higher in your mind so you continue to traverse through the world and get better each and every day. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you sit on your butt all day. Sometimes you get put into situations where you're like, oh, maybe I haven't grown as much as I thought. But I feel like the very realization, the very awareness of your action, awareness of how you interact with your world and how you are, allows you to make those changes better. Sometimes it just takes a certain level of awareness and consciousness, and sometimes that needs to be built up before you can truly address a problem from its root. That's why I feel like it's important to, one, be present, and that's why I stress the importance of meditation and anything like that. But also understand how you feel. Understand how your thought patterns contribute to your perspective in the world that you live in. You know, you have to sort of be aware of how you're pulling the world and how you're pulling your perspective, how you're pulling your life along, because it is yours and it is you. You know, how you're pulling yourself is how you're pulling your life. You know, if you're giving love to yourself, you're giving love to your life. You're giving love to your life, you're giving love to yourself. It's about doing the things that allow you to love it, doing the things that allow you to love yourself. And you don't always have to do too much. Sometimes it's more of a intention rather than an action. You intend to love yourself. You hold that in your heart that you love yourself. You tell yourself that, and you do whatever you can given your situation to express that love to yourself. And also keeping in mind how circumstances alter the way we can express. You know, it's a crazy concept to think about, and it makes me sort of happy and blessed to be in this time where I can just turn on my computer, press record, and I have it set up and whatnot to express my thoughts, feelings, and share them with the world. You know, but I'm thinking about, what if it was 50 years before this? What would I be doing? And you know, I feel like these sort of things in expression, in terms of art, everything in terms of creativity, has always found a way to be expressed. And in that same way, love has always found a way to be expressed. So you need to be intent and think about how you can do it for this moment. You know, for example, sometimes as a kid, you know, you don't have money, but you wanted to express to your parents that you love them, you'd appreciate them. So you make them a card out of a piece of paper. You make it yourself. And in the same way, if the world's not showing you stuff to make you love yourself, you create it. You create that certain something that allows you to love yourself. You let go. You let go of sort of what could be and focus on what is. Focus on what's within your control. If it's not in your head, if it's not in your hands, it shouldn't be in your mind. So you have to learn to control what you can and keep moving forward, because that's all life is. And if we constantly sit and focus on what we can't, what we could have done, what we should have done, then what we do is going to be dampened. It's focused on what you do, and it's focused on appreciating the choices you make regardless. Sometimes you make a bad choice, but it helps you realize what good choices are. And it helps you realize what you want to do in the future. Sometimes you miss out on an opportunity, sometimes you don't. But it better prepares you to attack these situations and get better opportunities in the future. It's the constant progression that allows people to be themselves, to express themselves. Think of people who have, and I'm figuring this out, I don't really understand it yet, but in terms of personality and strength of character, I'm thinking that, you know, people really just, maybe subconsciously or consciously, come into a situation or a form of art. I'm thinking of like Tyler, the Creator type people. And they do it so fervently with all of their being that in some ways the stuff that they learn while doing it, the stuff they learn about themselves, becomes exemplified in their art. And then in turn becomes exemplified in them. Because I've realized recently that, you know, this profound pondering, this deep thought, this actual routine that I'm doing is actually changing who I am. You know, in a sense, I used to be like a really annoying, stubborn kid who had a little anger tendencies. And now I'm just calm, mellowed out somewhat. I definitely be goofy still, but, you know, it's the way that things impact you, the way you allow them, and what you get your focus on, what you allow your energy to flow to, comes back to you. So you have to be mindful of what you're allowing yourself to consume and be around. So I really hope y'all are being intentional with the way you give your care and how intimate you're making life. All in all, thank you so much for watching this video. I really can't express enough how grateful I am to each and every one of you. I have a lot more coming. I think I'm gonna try to record an outdoor video tomorrow. However, I don't have an adapter yet, so it's not gonna be on YouTube probably for a week or so. But bear with me. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, I'm glad. If you didn't, I enjoyed it myself. So keep being great. Make sure you're treating yourself like a friend. Make sure you're being authentic. Make sure you're letting yourself, you know, go into spaces where you somewhat feel uncomfortable. Allowing yourself to expand in definition. And